I wanted to talk maybe about the media system in the Western world. You notice, I know, at least I think I notice that more and more often media are staging events that they will then use to justify political this or that. For example, in the Netherlands, there's a story of a police officer who allegedly groped a woman by her breast. And I feel that first I felt like it could be real, this could be real, and this is bad, you shouldn't do that. But then they milk it, the media milk it to the point where then I start to doubt and question, like, wait a minute, is this really real or is it like staged? Are they like, you know, are they perhaps like actors pretending this happened live on screen, and then of course they milk that for political reasons because they want to come up with excuses to strip men of their rights. That's what I feel like, though. In the Western world, I feel as though the political machinery is looking for excuses, for incidents to justify removing rights from men, and while giving women more rights at the same time, right? For all sorts of reasons. But then again, I do think men have options. We don't have to stay with the women of the West. If they are so hateful of their men, why don't we just move to Russia? I mean, we could get our plan B for white men is to go to Russia, of course. You know, I'm not saying we can do that. I'm saying you have to think in terms of options. We always have to have the option says, look, if women of Western world don't like us, then we'll just move. We'll get other women, you know. That's how I think about things, at least. So let's see, got a few people watching. Yeah, if you have questions or so, usually I'll answer the questions, but. All right. I don't know who's watching me, where you're from. Normally my audience is from, English speaking international people, wherever from wherever. I used to also go live on my Dutch account, but I don't really do that anymore. I get a lot of hate on my Dutch account. Oh, someone from the UK, all right, cool. Romania. I've been to Romania too, yeah. Of course, I've been to the UK and I've been to Romania to, what's it called, Iași and Cluj-Napoca, yeah. I took the train, it was very beautiful. The trains through Romania, through the mountains. Yeah, do you think Israel will attack Iran? Yeah, now there's a war between Israel and Iran, right? Just a few days ago, there was no warning, nothing. And now all of a sudden, there's a war between Israel and Israel and Iran. What I think of that is we Europeans and others around the world have nothing to do with this. What are we supposed to do now all the time? Every time there's a war somewhere, we in the West have to drum up our men to go to war. We have to fight for Ukraine because of Europe. We have to fight Iran because of Israel, Europe, So who's who here, you know? Yeah, strange situation. What I understood about the United States, the way they look at this is that the United States has its own interests. I know they call Israel their greatest ally, but it's not their only ally, right? So Saudi Arabia is also an ally of the United States, for example. So there's many countries there, many people they're dealing with there. And, you know, I think the United States will want to protect Israel for all sorts of reasons. I spoke about this to Daniel Natal of the Daniel Natal Show, and we kind of concluded that Israel likely is not going to survive this. And that means all-out, absolute destructive war, backed by the US military, of course, because the US military will fight for Israel. Like I said, it's for economic reasons, you know? So why is the NATO... the United States leads NATO. It's not like we have a choice in Europe. Countries like Germany are politically irrelevant. They just do whatever the United States tell them to do. It's not a real country anymore, politically speaking. Exactly. Our politicians, they're not just paid by Israel lobbies. They're commanded and appointed by the whole, U.S.-Israeli system. They decide who get to be our politicians, effectively. Yeah, Germany is a satellite state. It's like colonized. It's a colony of the United States, effectively, since 1945. You know, they took Western Germany and the Netherlands and Belgium. It goes for all these kinds of countries. You know what's so sad? Sweden joined NATO, and then they ask ordinary Swedes, they ask them, you know, what do you think of NATO? And say, yeah, I love NATO. Okay. And what do you think NATO is going to do? And then they don't know. They don't know what NATO is. They don't know that they don't know. The Swedish people, average Swedes, did not really know that joining NATO means now they have to send their sons to war against Iran and Russia, whatever, you know. Yeah, the connection between the United States and Israel is quite has something to do with the British Empire. The British Empire helped found Israel, and it's probably for all sorts of international trade reasons that they needed to have that there as a sort of outpost in order to kind of get the Muslim world, the Arab world, to do the West's bidding. That's why they had to have Israel there, kind of, you know. Yeah, they have to sacrifice their sons now in Sweden, and I don't think they understand that very well. Like, you joined NATO, it means you literally are now agreeing to send your sons to war. Did you understand that? Or like, wow, you know. What's the relationship between Russia and Iran? All I know is that Russia and Iran are both sanctioned by the West, and so they learn from each other. And I think Iran supplies to Russia and Russia supplies to Iran. They're doing a lot of trade, so they just need each other for their survival. Yeah. They're fighting back in Scampton. Is that Ireland or UK somewhere, right? And then against illegal immigration. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. Yeah, UK. You know, I think the Iranian attack was purposely tamed and was to save face for the embassy attack. Yeah, of course, it's a retaliation. Also a show of force, right? To show Israel, hey, look, we're not afraid of striking at you, so don't do that again. They showed them what they could do, basically. Yeah. So Iran also has a lot of oil, just as much as Saudi Arabia, but they're not willing to sell it to the West. They're selling it to China. And so, yeah, China needs Iranian oil. Will China step in? I think China is doing whatever they can behind the scenes to support Iran and Russia in their war against the West. It's basically China against the USA, and everything else is a proxy war in between. You know, what we're seeing in Ukraine and Israel, that's called the Iron Curtain. There's an Iron Curtain there trying to keep the East out of the West so that they don't mix. All right. But strangely, of course, in this sense, Africa and the Arab world are counted as part of the West because we need these people apparently to fight the Russians and the Chinese, which is laughable, because if you talk to the Africans and the Arabs, they don't support the U.S. and they do support Russia and China a lot more. So this is making a lot of sense. Yeah, I've been talking about geopolitical stuff for years and writing about it in my newsletter also for years. So yeah, I know some things. I'm not an expert in anything, so nobody will believe me anyway. So I try to see the bigger picture, and then I wonder, like, what's next? What's going to happen? What's the next big thing? You know? Yeah. I think something I know happened is that when Russia was put on the sanctions, the European sanctions, a Russian delegation actually visited the Iranians, and in exchange for certain secrets or trade or whatever, the Iranians showed them how they could, for example, circumvent a lot of these sanctions that the West were throwing at them. I don't know exactly if I wonder. Let me think if I can give you an example of that. You know. Like remember that they said that Coca-Cola could no longer sell to Russia, but Coca-Cola can still sell to Azerbaijan, and then Russia imports Coca-Cola from Azerbaijan. See how they do it? Or they ship their Nike shoes to Georgia, which is a country near Russia, and then Russia imports Nike shoes from Georgia, and then they're circumventing or companies, American companies, just simply rebranded themselves with a new Russian headquarter, so they could keep selling Burger King fries, but now they call it something else. So they're completely circumventing the sanctions. It just doesn't work. It's a bit silly, really. Oh. All right, I opened. when you're doing it live, you can slide open the comments from left to right, and I just, no, I'm not afraid to speak up. No, why would I be? I mean, I feel like I've got nothing to lose anymore. I just want to get the truth out. I want something to change. What bothers me at the core of everything is that our own governments in the West do not treat their own people well. We are not supported right. We are trampled upon. Basically, the Dutch government sees its own white people as the enemy somehow, and they prefer everybody else but their own. And that is so sick. I'm so sick of it. It has to stop. It has to come to an end sometime. We can't do this any longer, man. You want to live in a place where at the very least your government is behind the people, like backing the people. I don't care how much they do wrong. I'd rather have a government who does a lot of things wrong but who actually care about their own people than what we have now. Governments who really hate their own people, and they do a lot of things right to make sure that they hate us, right? No, I'm Dutch. Yeah, poor white in Ireland, you're the most oppressed class. Yeah, I find that easy to believe. You know, you can't afford homes, and then they import people from wherever, and then Nigeria and Pakistan, wherever, in India, and they of course they also can't afford rent, but they're willing to live in a, you know, to share a bedroom with 6 other guys, right? And so they pay $300 a month, or 300 whatever euros or pounds a month, and then, you know, they stack them in these houses. You know, but an ordinary person who wants to have a family can't buy a home, can't afford a home anymore. And that's you live in your mother's spare room. Yeah, that makes sense. See, and that's how it is. You know, I think one giant scam that Western home owners are perpetrating against their own people is that they realize that, say, an average white couple can't afford 2,800 euros for a house, a basic house, right, in rent, right? And so what they do is they can rent that house out to 6 guys from Pakistan who each pay 500 euros, so they make more money. But those Pakistani people, they also make less money. You don't pay them the same, because they are like the Deliveroo people, right? They don't make that much money. It's just really mean, you know. What's your opinion? Sorry, what's your opinion on forgiveness in Christianity? Should one forgive or take revenge? Okay, you make me feel like I'm the priest on Sunday, but okay. My opinion on forgiveness or revenge is, you know, you do the right thing, but you can forgive people for their mistakes. But if they keep repeating their mistakes, you better put an end to it. So it's a bit of a duality here, right? Of course, you can forgive people, but then when they keep doing it, you have to still stop them. Revenge is of course very heathen, very Germanic, but you got to be careful with revenge because you're going to get it back too. If you enact revenge, people are going to also want to have revenge for you for what you did, and so on and so forth. So you got to be very careful with that. This is one of the reasons why Christianity doesn't like revenge so much, because even among the Germanics before, we used to have these long-lasting blood feuds between families that simply wouldn't stop, and Christianity put a stop to it, which is kind of a good idea. You don't want to get bogged down in things like that, you know. Yeah, right. I do think tolerance is a weakness. We should not be tolerant. We should make it very clear. This is how we live. This is what we expect, you know. And we can't really allow other people to trample us the way they've been doing. All right. Right, the homes that the government gives to illegal migrants in the UK look like mansions. Wow, okay. Yeah. Yeah, they're giving them, they're probably hotels and resorts like that because of tourism. So tourism dies down after COVID. Tourism was killed off, basically, a lot of it at least. Right? And people can't afford to travel. And so what they do is they just stack migrants into these housing. But who pays for that? Well, the taxpayer. See, the taxpayer now pays for the free holidays of foreigners coming in. It's insane. And then they expect to give these people like newly built homes as well. And who's going to pay for that? These migrants coming to the West arrive with no money. They have no savings. Maybe they have an iPhone. I'm not saying they're dirt poor, but they don't have money to buy a £300,000 or $300,000 euro house. No, who's paying for it? It's all subsidized, all of it, top to bottom. It's all subsidized. It's so criminal. They're destroying their own people so that the rich can stay rich for a little while. Like if you think about it, every decision being made today is a decision tailored to keep the rich rich while completely gutting the middle classes and the lower classes. First the lower classes, of course, gutting you, right? And then replacing you with immigrants, but only for a while, of course, because this is not going to last. It's going to end in catastrophic failure. Wow, thanks for sharing to all these people. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I I still find it difficult to find the right people to form alliances with. I know there's some good people out there here and there, but they're rare, right? They have their own work, and their own lives, right? Right, but how do we even convince more than 10 people? How do you convince like 10 million white Europeans that we should, together with farmers and capital, leave together, move somewhere? I was thinking like the woodlands of northwestern Eurasia. So it could be Sweden or Finland. They have a lot of forest. Or it could be northwestern Russia or Belarus, northern Belarus by the Baltic Sea and so on. There's all sorts of locations where you could go, right? Yeah, even convincing 10 people is hard because, you know, everybody's so invested in their housing, their mortgages, and you can't really get these people. They are not motivated to leave. They will sit there like the ducks, what do you call, like the frogs in boiling water. When you slowly boil water, the frog doesn't jump out. We're kind of stuck like that. And then, you know, it frustrates me, of course. I'm willing to do more and lead more, but if you consider the situation how it is, then what on earth is even the best possible outcome? It would be probably a multi-tier strategy, like multiple, like someone says here, you're thinking of moving to the mountains somewhere. Yeah, we should start supporting people who want to move away, support those, especially families, make sure that they can live somewhere and survive and thrive. So they need backing, right? But then again, have you heard that like German industry is dying? They're deindustrializing. And the same in the Netherlands, like large Dutch corporations are moving out, like, I don't know which ones are, I forgot the names, but there's several big Dutch corporations thinking of moving operations to Dubai, for example, like one large shipping company and so on. Yeah, someone's becoming a carpenter for real. That's interesting. Yeah, as a kid, I loved carpenting. As a child, we would have I'd have a toolbox. And I had a toolbox and we had some wood to play with. So yeah, yeah, old Greek land. Yeah. Yeah, what will ultimately awaken the masses from their slumber? I spoke about this with a girl, well, young woman on TikTok, Sophia Aragona. We did a live chat for an hour, and we spoke about waking up the normies. And I think our conclusion was we're going to have to wait until things get a lot worse, and then it's going to be through a sort of spiritual angle. People are going to have to understand that we are bound together by some common belief system. You could call it religion or whatever it is. People are eventually, when things get really bad, when the European economy collapses under the weight of globalism, then finally people will start listening to alternative messages. They will then finally understand that their governments could not, did not, and never wanted to take care of them, you know? Yeah, yeah, like you can't believe that it's got this bad and like no one cares anymore. Yeah, yeah, I have the same feeling. So many things are going wrong at such accelerated paces, like so fast, and any kind of opposition or opposing thoughts or beliefs is like banned. You know, everything is now, for any belief you have, you will be arrested, or like J.K. Rowling is going to probably be in court for calling a man a man. I mean, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing? You know, they want to send you to jail now if in the Netherlands, if you say that, say, an immigrant who has learned the language isn't the real Dutch person, then you can go to jail for that. Now, I think they're starting to do things like that. You know, it's just so insane. It's really insane. The way that our decline is accelerating, you can tell that the people who still have a lot of capital are scrambling to stay rich. So they have no morals, right? The billionaire class, they have no morals. They only care about what makes me more, what makes me more. They have no morals, right? And so they're purging us. They're devouring. We're being devoured and blamed for it while we're being devoured. Like imagine being eaten by a bear and then the bear spits you out because you're not tasty enough, and then he shits on you because it's your fault. Like that's how our governments treat us, you know, kind of, to put it in words like that. Yeah, let's see what else I can talk about. Normally I try to fill an hour or so, but then I'll just have to come up with some things. When I started my live stream, I was talking about how I think that the media are sometimes staging events. They're staging events to justify certain political policies. Like if they want to take away rights of men, I mean males, they want to take some rights of you away because they want to put women in power, right? What's it called? The matriarchy. And they're going to take away your rights by also staging events with the media present. So you have two actors. So you have like a man dressed up as a police officer, an actor gropes a woman, but she's an actress and they agreed to it, right? And then they milk this story in the media, and then they start saying, well, men shouldn't be allowed to talk to women in public anymore, or else they should be arrested, or things like that. Like they're going to do really crazy, weird things like that, you know? Yeah, European factories are also leaving now because the minimum wage is too high. Yeah, but also many other reasons, right? The sword is mightier than the pen, yeah. If not mightier, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Marxism was the first political movement that claimed to be scientific, and they ran with it. And then they started saying that, well, the belief in progress is also scientific and so on. And so that's how they did it, you know? Yeah, Scholz is in China. Did you see his reception? I think he was received by some minor diplomats, and gave me the impression as though Germany is politically irrelevant because everybody knows they take orders from the USA. They have no opinions of their own. Yeah, yeah. The way they greeted him there, yeah. Like no one cares about the leader of Germany. He just does what his World Economic Forum people tell him to do, right? All right. He's handled. Yeah, he has handlers. Yeah. I also thought it was weird that Macron often presents himself as though he is the leader of Europe who's going to lead the war. Russia, while at the same time France has to buy oil and gas from Russia. Yeah, you know. Yeah, forced Islamization. It's weird. We should never have allowed this. You know. Did you know there are only like a few countries on Earth where you have more than 20% people born outside of the country? Australia and Canada are the only two white countries that have more than 20% immigrants from outside of their country, meaning that it's not normal. It's not normal to live in an immigration country. The only immigration countries that exist in the world are Western countries anyway. And so, right? Yeah, Germany's still under Allied rule. Yeah, they can't be independent because, yeah. Oh, they're enemy states in the UN. Really? Is that the law? Okay, weird. No. No, Islam is a grave threat to the West, yeah, and so is white atheism is a big problem, yeah, because we need to push back. See if I can come up with some news articles or something to read. Right, right. There's like this what do you call it? Critical mass, right? At some point they take over, right? But I find also that it's being supported by the Western government leadership, and I was quite surprised about this. It means that we are so dependent on oil from the Arab providers that the West has to support, Western governments have to support Islamization, even though they damn well know that the natives don't want this. They still have to do it to save the economy. But now they're deindustrializing and moving our economy out, you know? Right, Telegram is no longer secure. Well, yeah, I will assume nothing is secure anymore. Maybe some really fancy stuff. Is PGP for email still secure? I rarely ever use that, but I guess you know, things like that are the only things you can use, right? All right. Will housing prices really dip when the boomers die off, or is something going to prevent it? Yeah, immigration is the plan to prevent it. But I wonder, because it only works with immigration, because the people you're importing will earn less. And so you want to have smaller houses. That's why they promote the pods, right? Live in a pod. They want you to have a small room or share it with 3 other people, right? And then share your kitchen with 6 other people. That's what they want, because that's the only way to keep the housing prices up. Is, see, you used to have like a white couple and 2 kids paying rent, and now you're going to have like 12 people living in that same house. It's going to be divided up. You have 12 people living in that house, and together they pay the rent. And so that is, by the way, also not going to last very long. Eventually, you're just going to run out of people who care to live in a place like that. The West, in my view, the death of the baby boomer class is going to set off the true economic collapse of Europe and the West. And the way I see it, it can be delayed for a bit. It can be delayed for maybe 10 years, 20 years, but there's no way to recover this, you know. They want to ban driving in the weekends in Germany. Wow, that's new. Yeah, that just means you don't have fuel anymore. They're trying to save the big businesses, but come on, that's crazy. That's the end of freedom too. Like, what's the point of living in a so-called advanced nation of the West if you can't even drive a car to grandma on the weekends, you know? Yeah, that's how it starts. Like they're taking all your freedoms and your rights away from you in order to kind of like protect the heart, right? And the heart that is the rich people. They're trying to save the billionaires at your expense, you know? All right. Right. They're really dying off now, yeah. They started dying off, yeah. The elders, yeah. So did you know it? I'm reading some. I have another phone here because this is my old phone. I got banned on TikTok, so I had to create new accounts on another phone. So that's why I started using it again. So Israel's defense against Iran overnight in one night cost $1 billion. So that's where your tax money is going. When you hear these stories like we have to give Israel money, we have to give Ukraine money. These countries aren't part of the EU. They're not part of the federal USA. But we're paying taxes. We're paying the taxes to so that these parties who aren't even part of us can defend themselves at our expense. Because it's unfathomably expensive apparently to produce these things. You're going to have supply chain shortages. How can you spend $1 billion on defenses and then do that every night? No. Right. Do you know Paul Craig Roberts? It's one of the few people who is also very outspoken. He's an old man. He used to work for the White House. paulcraigroberts.org. Are we witnessing a tempering of American-Israeli aggression? Yeah. I think the United States realizes that it cannot win the war on the world anymore. And they're kind of backing down a bit. Have you noticed this? That Iran told the USA, don't you dare stop our attack or else. Right? That's amazing, Washington is reportedly worried about a major escalation fraught with catastrophic consequences. Yeah, they're going to lose Israel. And I was talking to Daniel Natal about this. Like, do you think the United States may cut loose from Israel to save itself? Because that's what the Roman Empire at some point they cut loose from Judea. They did that. And so I wonder if the United States is going to make a similar decision, cutting loose from Israel, sacrificing Israel, basically. Wow, that's going to be the end of an era, man. Because ever since I was a teenager and I started reading political news, I found out that, we always hear about the Israel-Palestine conflict, always the Gaza thing. It's been in the news for like 20, 30 years. It's never resolved. You had Yasser Arafat and whoever and the others, right? And Hamas and PLO and whatever. And we had movements in the Netherlands where Dutch people started wearing these shawls, the Palestinian shawls, to show their support and sympathy for the Palestinians, right? And it's like, wow. This has been going on like my whole conscious life. And now it's like they're ready to sacrifice Israel to save what? Save American interests, Yeah, imagine everyone who thought similarly to me performed this kind of activism. Yeah, yeah, we would have a lot more outspoken people. Yeah, I try to find. I have met some people. Surprisingly, they were all women. I've met like 3 women through the internet, 2 on TikTok, 1 on Twitter, who are also kind of like this, outspoken. Surprisingly, but they have more influence. Like one of them has like 150,000 followers on TikTok. She had a lot of influence. But they also, she lost her account, got it back again, right? And so, yeah, it's hard, it's very hard, especially if you're a woman, to even dare to speak your mind about things like this. Even I, as a man, am a rare example. Like most people never really speak out. But more people need to do it. And I hope that through my speaking, I will have some influence, but it will be long-term influence, right? Some people are going to wake the fuck up, Who was the English woman? Oh, that's Sofia Aragona. Yeah, her father is Italian or something. So Sofia Aragona. She's on TikTok. She has a whole account there. But she censored a lot of her videos because she was being trolled. Lots of people came to report her videos. She lost her account almost. And, so some of her more radical takes are gone now. But she's really good, in terms of very intelligent, I was reading something here. Yeah, it's clear that the United States sides with Israel, the United States sides with Ukraine. So you have this iron curtain around that axis of Ukraine to Israel as an iron curtain. Behind that, you have the East. Before it, you have the West. And so China obviously supports Russia and Iran, and so Saudi Arabia, I think, is a U.S. ally, but right. So Saudi Arabia is a U.S.-Israeli ally nowadays, and but who knows? Saudi Arabia holds the key. That I think, if Saudi Arabia were to decide they would switch to supporting China and Iran, the West is basically dead, you know. I think something really big and exciting is going to happen, and I don't think it will be good for us. It will be economically very hard to deal with it, but it will open up new opportunities where we can make different decisions finally and say, start doing what is right again. Do away with the moral degeneracy, for example. Do away with the clown circus, you know, the rainbow flag cult. You know, I think that's what's going to happen in the end, yeah. Here, Paul Craig Roberts writes, it has taken a long time for Zionist Israel to discredit itself. It did so with Israel's declared policy of genocide of the Palestinians. Yeah. And America was also discredited because they used their bombs and the money. All right. Israel relies heavily on American support for whatever's going on over there. All right. Perhaps it will dawn on Putin and Xi of China to stabilize the Middle East with announcement of a Russian-Chinese-Iranian mutual defense treaty. It is the absence of countervailing power in the Middle East that has made the region a tinderbox. Yeah. I think that is what might happen next, right? That China and Iran and Russia are going to publicly say, hey, world, we're a team now, deal with it. And the West is going to have a big trouble because I think China, Iran, and Russia together have better resources. China has almost all the rare minerals. Russia has a lot of oil, gas, coal. Siberia is full of coal. And Iran has a lot of oil. And so you see, together, they have the capacity to defeat the West. And I think that is actually where we're headed now. And for me, you know, I come from a different angle, right? I'm not for this or that. I come from a more philosophical angle against materialism. And I favor the collapse of the urban industrial complex, as I call it, the urban industrial complex that has basically also ruined our souls to such a point. And I welcome opportunities where we can start making different decisions. In my view, that will be to live a poorer life, but a spiritually richer life. Materially poorer, but spiritually richer, by which I mean we will have more children. So nowadays we have expensive stuff and 1 child per woman. In the future, we won't have the expensive stuff anymore, but we'll have 3, 4, 5, 6 children per woman. We're going to have a resurgence, a white resurgence, so to speak, white demographic resurgence to repopulate ourselves, yeah, to make our men manly again, and not this, you know, the people in charge of our political system, they need to go. We also need to go, yeah. Yeah, I'm advocating a return to a spiritual life. It doesn't have to be orchestrated as an organized religion, but definitely a return to the inner life of the spirits. And I think that means we allow ourselves to feel more, but positive feelings. I don't mean you need to sit in the corner and cry. We want to feel brave and confident and proud. And these feelings are going to come out again. We're just going to become very dominant in a sense where we will crush opposition and say, like, you can't treat us like that. You have to respect us. And we can do that without material wealth, but we will do it with a new spiritual revival, you know? Right? Just money and fun, right? All right, you had a friend who is Germanic, okay. All right. All right, that's funny. Crazy for me, yeah, we need to stop that. Can I write a manifesto? I've written several books, you know. Revival of the West, Securing a Future for European People, for example. It's on Amazon. It's my bestseller. I've written several other philosophical books and so on, yeah. I have plans to write so much, but I have to tell you, I used to write a lot more because I wasn't speaking. Now I started speaking and I feel like I prefer continuing more of speaking because writing a book is hard, man. It can take me like 3 weeks to 3 months to write it, but it takes you a year to edit it properly. It is so difficult. Editing really, if you want to win 5 more or 10 IQ points extra in your life, go write a book and spend a year editing it so that every sentence and every paragraph and every chapter makes sense and it's easy to read for other people, right? That your message comes across. It teaches you to think and speak, but it's hard. That's why I think I will write some more books in my life, you know. It's not like I quit writing. I will write more books, but Editing, man, editing is hard. It's easy to put things on paper, but then to make sense of it, it's step number two. Right, and through speaking, I get a lot more interaction. Yeah, some of my videos get 500,000 views, sometimes close to 1 million. Some videos, right? But at least then my voice is heard, right? You can self-publish on Amazon Kindle, right? So I self-publish, but there are radical book publishers, like Arctos, and Daniel Nattel has his own publishing companies, small-time publishing companies. They don't have much budget, so it's going to cost you a bit to do that, apparently. But academic publishing, yeah. Right. Good, man. Good that you convinced this guy. Like von, he was like nobility, right? In German, if you have like von, like Otto von Bismarck, you're effectively nobility. Yeah, that's very funny. Good stock, yeah. I have a very old Germanic name. My last name is like Conrad. It's like from the 10th century, where you had a king named Conrad the First. Yeah, it means something like bold advice or brave counsel, something like that. All right. The more I admit myself, or the more I permit myself to speak my mind, the better I feel, basically, psychologically speaking. If I would keep my mouth shut, I would become very depressed, and I think that's why I keep going on. I just need to speak to in order to feel low stress. Like sometimes you have a lot of stress in your head, and then you speak your mind, and it's like it's all gone. All the stress is gone. That's why I oppose hate speech laws, because there's a lot of frustrated people out there. If they could only just say what they really want to say, then their stress would go away. But then, of course, the truth would come out that people are not doing well. People don't like the countries we live in the West anymore. We don't want this shit anymore. Yeah, we need more people. Yeah. There are some, like I said, like there's a Slovenian woman, Daria, just Daria, on TikTok as well. She also speaks her mind about Zionism, about immigration. She had a few videos about that. So there are people who do it. But rare. Yeah, it's hard to get you. It's not enough yet to start a movement. We need to wait a little longer, have a little bit more patience to. Yeah, there's only speech. Yeah. Kind of, but then again, you want people to speak their mind so that you know what their plans are. And if Muslim migrants coming to live with us in the West start chanting death to the Netherlands, death to Germany, we better arrest them, not because of what they said, but because of what they say they're going to do, right? All right. All right, I usually fill an hour. I've been speaking for 45 minutes, so I'll do another 15 minutes or so. Because I can fill an hour, and I usually have something to say, but yeah, they shouldn't be here to begin with. That's true. Let's see. I'm looking at Swedish news. I can read Swedish. Sorry, I can read Swedish because I felt that Swedish. I could speak English and German and Dutch, of course, and then Swedish was just like kind of right on the edge of all these three languages. Like sentence structure is a little bit like German, right? And lots of words are cognate with Dutch words and English and so on. So it was very easy to learn Swedish. I can't really speak it that well, but I can definitely read it. It's always helpful to learn more languages. The Swedes want to have their cash money back because they switched to non-cash society, I think. German. All right. I'm just reading some news here. Yeah. All right. Let's see if I can open up English. I don't hate the Russian people, white Russian Christian people. I think I, I grew up in the Netherlands, right? So we did not see any Russian movies or so. There, I probably couldn't tell you what the top three Russian movies are. And so I decided to go on Pirate Bay, right, and get some Russian movies, like their top 10 of their highest grossing cinema movies, right? Uh, and I thought 8 out of 10 of them were just really good movies where the bad guys are the devil, the good guys are white guys and Christian, right? And it's like so different. Like the positivity coming out of these movies, the Russian movies, is so very different from the trash we get in the West, where white men are all LGBT and crippled and degenerate and morons, right? White guys are stupid in commercials, but not in Russia. In Russia, white men are simply still respected, And I think we need to overthrow this whole media system, like starting with Hollywood. Break it down and give ourselves proper, positive, inspiring movies where Superman is good again, right? Nowadays, Superman is whatever, gay or or evil, But what if he were good again? That's what we want. We want to have a good Superman, a strong Superman. I do have a Discord. I think you can find it. I have what's it called? linkedin.bio/JohannesMK. There you can find my links. Yeah, well, all right. I'm not very active on Discord. I just happen to have a channel there. Sometimes I use it, So I'm reading some more news now. Yeah, so the wars on Israel is another proxy war between China and the US, really. Or you really need to. All right, see ya, Italian stallion. Yeah, have a great night. Yeah. The arrival of Russian troops in Niger, that's a country in West Africa, will reshape America's regional calculations. Yeah. I predicted that once China and Russia start supplying long-distance weapons to Western Africa, it becomes a threat to Europe. And I think it is very feasible there may be a war between Europe and Africa. Like I said, the war is coming from every direction: Ukraine, Israel, possibly Africa. Europe is surrounded by enemies, and Europe will be completely destroyed in any way. But not our people. We have an opportunity here to do something with our people. We can move further north, or we can fight back, or we can, as I've sometimes suggested, sacrifice the big cities. What if we would cut the water and gas and electricity from the big cities and simply starve those out? There are all sorts of strategies we could deploy, but you need a leadership willing to do it. We only have like one truly right-wing conservative leader in Europe, and that's Orban of Hungary, because Poland has been captured already by the Americans now. Interestingly, Hungary is working together with the Russians to build new supermarkets. A Russian supermarket is coming to Hungary, and they're building nuclear power plants along the Danube River. Right. More nations want to remove themselves from the dollar. Yeah, do you think they're going back to gold? Because gold price has been shooting up despite the bombing of Israel. Gold went up by, I don't know, 10% or so, 20% over the past month. Crypto, yeah. Kiev says that the Eastern Front has been deteriorated and Russia claims new victories. Yeah. The Ukrainians will not be able to defend Ukraine, but they sacrificed who knows how many men, hundreds of thousands, right? No one cares about them, right? All right. Right. I think crypto will be pegged to gold eventually. Maybe, yeah, because of course euro and gold will drop out. Yeah. So why can't Europeans? Right. Right. Yeah, Muslims should adopt our way of life, but maybe they shouldn't be here in the first place, right? They shouldn't come to Europe in such large numbers. No one cares about 0.1% or 1% of immigrants. But when you walk into a classroom and it's 98% brown kids from Pakistan, you don't want to put your white kid there anymore. You want to get the hell out of there. You're not part of this anymore. They don't celebrate Christmas. There's a video of some guy who is brown, a brown guy himself, but he's Christian, a Christian brown guy, and he's driving through the district where his kid's school is in the UK, and it's only brown Pakistani kids, and they don't celebrate Christmas anymore. And she's like, what the hell is this? Even the brown people are starting to notice that they don't like immigration. Yeah. Perilous societies, perilous societies. Yeah, the Balkans were Islamized around the time of Skanderbeg, right? And Skanderbeg, he still fought the Turks, but the Turks won and colonized the region. Yeah, of course, culture, behavior, their biology, basically, their mentality, their minds, yeah, that's a big problem, yeah. But you're not allowed to say that because that's racism. Right. Yeah. Facts are facts, but yeah. Yeah. People still think that if there were like an immigrant orgy of violence in our streets, they think the government is going to stop it. I don't think so. I think the Western governments are not going to protect us at all. We really need to start standing up for ourselves. Yeah, Bosnians are ethnic Europeans, yeah, but they were, in the distant past, they were Islamized by the Ottomans, right? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I was not born in Tilburg. I was born in Bergen op Zoom, but I never lived there. I only spent one day of my life there when I was born. Your country was invaded in 1994 by Muslim refugees. Yeah, and then Europe does it too, right? Right. Yeah, it was so stupid. Those stupid women with those immigrants welcome flags. Yeah, what were they thinking? All right. Yeah, during the Ramadan, yeah. It's just going to get worse and worse. Especially, it starts with the lower classes, right? And then they work in the lower middle class, and then it's just bad. What the hell are we supposed to do? We need to segregate and separate, but also like not have to be a part of the same economy. It's not like we live for the economy, though our leaders would want us to. We should live for ourselves again, for our nation. And the word nation means your people, your ethnic people who kind of look like you a little bit, right? Yeah. All right, I'm going to log off because I feel like I'm done talking. I'll do this again maybe next week or so. All right. Well, see you later, people. All right. And